What if a massive fund, one that was designed to build a better future for your community, just vanished? We're talking about millions of dollars here. Well, that's the mystery we're unpacking today in India's Garo Hills. It's a story about broken promises, unchecked power, and a search for answers.
Okay, just take a second and look at this number. Over 100 crore rupees. That is wow. That's well over 10 million US dollars. And get this wasn't some private company's money. This was public money from the central government, specifically earmarked to build a better life for the people of the Garo Hills.
So yeah, when a pile of cash that big meant for public projects just disappears from the official records, you have to ask the most obvious question, right? Where on earth did all that money actually go?
All right, let's start digging into this. The institution right at the center of all these allegations is the Garo Hills Autonomous District Council, or what you'll hear called the GHAD. This is ground zero. It's where the trail of the missing millions really begins.
And look, this isn't just some rumor floating around. A senior political leader has actually gone on the record blowing the whistle and pointing fingers directly at the misuse of these funds. But here's the crazy part. Even with such a serious public accusation, getting a straight answer has been, well, next to impossible. To really get why this is such a huge deal, we've got to take a step back and understand what these councils are even for. I mean, what's the big idea behind them? What was the original promise of this whole system? You see, these autonomous district councils, or ADCs, were born from a really powerful idea. It's written right into India's constitution. The whole point is to safeguard the rights of tribal communities and give them the power to control their own development. You know, self-governance. The community decides what it needs and makes it happen. For the people, by the people.
But that's the ideal, isn't it? The reality can be, well, pretty grim. When you have millions of dollars that were meant for empowerment just vanishing into thin air, these councils risk becoming symbols not of freedom and autonomy, but of corruption that no one is held accountable for. The very promise of self-rule just gets shattered.
So you're probably wondering, how in the world does over 100 crore rupees just get siphoned out of the system? How does that even work? Well, let's break down the alleged methods. From what the sources tell us, it really boils down to three main tricks. First, you've got your ghost projects, things that only exist on paper. Second, you can inflate the payroll, basically hiring a bunch of people you don't really need, likely as political favors. And third, you can divert grants. So money that was supposed to go to a new school, for example, just gets moved somewhere else, somewhere much harder to track. Let's just zoom in on those fictitious projects for a second, because this is wild. We're not talking about some clever accounting here. We are talking about official records claiming a road has been built. But when you go to that spot, there's nothing but dirt. Or records showing a new community building, but the land is totally empty. These are literally phantom projects designed for one thing, to drain funds and leave the community with absolutely nothing to show for it.
And all of this leads to maybe the most baffling part of the entire story. With such clear ways that money is being misused, why isn't anyone being held accountable for it? Why is it so incredibly difficult to get a straight answer?
You see, the system is supposed to have a safety net. It's called an audit. Independent audits are meant to catch exactly this kind of thing. But the reality is allegedly something called audit suppression. Official reports from India's top auditor, the CAG, are reportedly delayed, hidden from the public, or their findings are just flat out ignored. So the very alarm system designed to protect the public's money is effectively being silenced.
So when you put this all together, it forces us to ask a really tough, really fundamental question. A question that cuts right to the very heart of what self-governance is supposed to be about.
And here it is. What does autonomy really mean in this context? Is it being used as a shield? Is it truly about the freedom to self-govern for the good of the community? Or has it become a license for a select few to self-loot with absolutely no consequences? Freedom to self-govern or freedom to self-loot?
But look, it's not all doom and gloom. This isn't just about pointing out a massive problem. It's also about finding solutions. The situation might seem bleak, but there are concrete ways for citizens to push back and demand the transparency that they deserve.
The sources we looked at propose a really powerful idea, a citizen's audit. Think of it as a three-step action plan. First, you map the flow of money using right-to-information laws. Second, you get out there on the ground and verify the projects yourself. See with your own eyes if that road or that building actually exists. And finally, you track the official audits. Demand they be made public and call out inaction when you see it. And so we're left with this one critical question. When a system that was designed for empowerment is allegedly being used to enrich a select few, is the very idea of tribal self-rule being hollowed out from within? Just eaten away from the inside? Answering that, well, that might be the real 100 Crore challenge.